13th named storm of the season to talk about tonight, so we're going to be talking about that for the next 30 minutes or so. It is Tropical Storm Melissa. It is in the central Caribbean. It does not look like it will affect Florida directly at this time. And I say directly because it might get some swell from it maybe later next week, but that's about it. I think what will happen is a front will come through and kind of pick it up and take it out, and that will help pull down some cooler, drier air for us. However, it is going to be something to reckon with for the folks in Jamaica and Haiti and Dominican Republic, probably eastern Cuba, the Turks and Caicos eventually, and it could bring catastrophic flooding for parts of Jamaica and especially Haiti and parts of Dominican Republic between now and Sunday. So these are the 8 p.m. numbers. We just got these in from the Hurricane Center. It's not a track update. It's just a technical update where we get these numbers. 50-mile-per-hour winds. Recon's out there now, so those are good numbers. West is the movement, still at 15, although that slowed down from earlier today. That's what it was, though, at 5 o'clock. And the pressure has remained the same as what it was at 5 o'clock, and that's 1,003 millibars. Now, there is some wind shear on that, and you can kind of see, because look where the center is. The center is right in this area here, but look at all the convection is actually out over here. And we have a little bit of wind shear coming in like this. There's a little bit of a trough sitting in here, and that brings in a little bit of that wind shear, okay? And so you can see it blowing this stuff off to the top here above Dominican Republic and over towards Puerto Rico. But that's not enough to really knock this thing apart at this point. It looks like it probably will get stronger. As I mentioned, the recon was in there now, and you can see the numbers that they had. And they had the visible satellite on there. Look where the center is. Okay, the center is sitting out in here, 1,003 millibars, but all the convection is back out over here. And at one point, it almost looked like you had a little bit of rotation here, and then you get a bunch of convection developing out over here, still east of the center. So this is still not 100% stacked, if you will, so not super organized. And I do think the wind shear stays on at least a little bit. It might come down a little bit, but the further north it gets up towards the islands, I think it'll see a little bit more wind shear. And I keep talking about that because that's almost a hope at this point so that it does weaken. The yellow you see there for Jamaica is a tropical storm watch. The other one over there at Haiti is a hurricane watch. And there is the latest forecast. You can see 60-mile-per-hour winds by tomorrow afternoon, 70 by Thursday and Friday. It'll keep that hurricane force. I mean, it's not much more, but 75-mile-per-hour winds by Saturday. And then Sunday at 85-mile-per-hour winds. It's not going anywhere, okay? And just imagine, the center's here, all the rain's right here, okay? All the rain's right here, all the rain's right here, all the rain's right here, all the rain's right there. That is a terrific, incredible flooding situation setting up for Haiti. Now, if the center is more defined, that would happen over here into Jamaica and up into eastern Cuba as well. And again, even out here into Dominican Republic. Everybody's going to get some rain out of this, okay? Now, that is in an area that has some mountains. So you get something that's called orographic lifting, which means it even squeezes out more moisture and causes more flooding. And it also causes mudslides and things like that. So definitely, I think right now, 75, 85-mile-per-hour winds is nothing to shake a stick at. But right now, my concern would be for the catastrophic flooding that's a possibility there. Again, here are the watches for winds, all right? This basically says they could see tropical storm force winds, maybe 40 to 60, maybe a little bit higher. This one says they could see winds 74 miles per hour or higher, all right? And that would be over there on that peninsula of Haiti. Now, let's talk about some of these forecast models. Look at the split. Right? What do you do? What are you thinking? The GFS model, and we have something here called the graph in-house. That does Thursday, Friday, Saturday take it out to sea. Honestly, that would be one of the best case scenarios. It does strengthen it to almost a hurricane as it makes landfall into maybe Dominican Republic or Haiti, probably Dominican Republic, and then takes it out. The H-Wharf is something similar to that. But then look at this. The Canadian's out here, the UK is out here, the European is out here. Even the Google DeepMind, which is an AI model, which has been one of the better models, it does something like this. Comes up and comes down, and then it comes back out. All right? And you can see there's a lot of argument that that looks legit. Okay, and I think that is probably pretty close to what is eventually going to happen. All of these, except for maybe it's like 2 out of 83, I think, keep it east of Florida. Okay, that's the good news if you're watching here from the Tampa Bay area, for anywhere in Florida. It looks like it wants to get in here from Haiti to Cuba, the Turks and Caicos, and the southern Bahamas. All right, and obviously Jamaica and Haiti. These are the two main concerns for the very, very heavy rainfall. Okay, now let's just show you the models a little bit separated here. All right, so the yellow is the GFS, the green lines are the European. Let's go out, and you can see up here in the upper right-hand corner, we're going to go through the time, okay? This is Friday morning. Not too far off at that point. Excuse me, center is here for the GFS and here for the European. That's Jamaica right there, okay? That's not bad, but watch what happens over the weekend, Saturday, and then in the Sunday evening. GFS takes it out. As I said, that's the best case scenario. The European has it south of Jamaica. That is a huge rainmaker for Jamaica, for Haiti, and even for eastern Cuba. All right, because remember, a lot of the rain has been on the eastern side of this, and we'll still have a little bit of wind shear coming in from this direction all the way through the lifespan of this. Okay, so I think wherever that center is, say that green center right there, this circle here, the rain is going to be especially in this area here. Okay, and so if it's slowly working this way and then finally turns around, it's slowly dumping rain, dumping rain, dumping rain, dumping rain, and then finally turns around and goes out. All right, get a little messy there, but you get the idea. Now, here we go through Monday at 8 o'clock. Now, the Hurricane Center has it by Sunday night somewhere near here. All right, the European's pretty close to that. Okay, and then this is Monday evening. The European's down here still. GFS is out. We don't know. The Hurricane Center hasn't gone out that far at this point, but you can see we do think that by Monday and Tuesday, it will start that trek to the north and the east, depending on where it is. It could already be out of there by Wednesday, Thursday, or it could be clearing the southern Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos by that time. Okay, but that is a ton of rainfall in that area. Now, notice what's happening here. We've got some good winds coming down out of the north by next Wednesday night into Thursday, and that is a big cold front. And I'll show you that coming up here in just a little bit, but that should help to protect the state of Florida and the southeast U.S. So here we go. Here are the ensemble runs. All right. So this is multiple runs of the European model in white, multiple runs of the GFS in yellow. So this kind of gives you, instead of looking at just one run of the model, we look at the ensembles because they do differ just a little bit, but it gives you an overall thinking of what the model is thinking. And look, I mean, mostly the European, the white lines are out here. Okay, but some of the lines of the GFS are here. A lot of them, though, are right in here. I know this is tough to see, but I wanted to show you this view because I want you to understand, watch this. Then we'll go through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, you get the idea. You can see a trend, right? The overall trend is that somehow it gets from where it is to coming out between here, okay? But does it come up into here like the Hurricane Center has? Does it come further over like the European does and then come out? And then again, you got the AI model somewhere up in the here and then coming out. So a lot up in the air, but I really wanted to show you this because this is what goes into forecasting. All right, and this is with the named storm. We've been watching this thing for a week now, and then over the weekend we got an invest which started to give us these ensemble models. So this is a lot of the inside baseball, behind the scene kind of stuff that we're watching. Now here is the rainfall forecast, and I'm going to caution you because look, this is just one run of the model. All right, this is the European model, and the European, remember, it brings it up over here. But these pinks, central and eastern Jamaica, including Kingston, the whites, and even that purple, that's 15 to 25 inches. That's over 2 feet of rain on the eastern end of Jamaica if this were to happen. Similar over here in west of Port-au-Prince. But even Port-au-Prince is talking a foot of rainfall. All right, so this is going to change, but this is the possibility. And that is a terrible amount of rainfall, especially a 2 to 3 day, maybe 4 day time frame. And we could see just some incredible video coming out of there. Now, we are basically protected for the most part, by this wind shear. You see all that blue that's up there coming across the Gulf? Anything coming at us is going to get sheared apart. We have a little bit of wind shear down here. You see those green colors? And we already have the center here and all the weather off to the north and the east. Okay, off to the east. If that were to get up into here, it would blow it completely out. And so let's go out through the weekend, Saturday into Sunday. We still have a ton of shear here, so we're still protected. And then as you get into next week, you see the trough is digging even more so. Look at that. Look at that trough digging there. That is cold air coming down, or at least for Florida style. It is cool, dry air coming down just in time. This is Thursday the 30th. Guys, Halloween looks incredible. And in fact, let's take a break right now. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit about our local forecast, and we'll even mention Halloween, at least an early look at it.
Before hurricane season hits, it's time to prep your home. Familiarize yourself with where your water shutoff valve is located. If backflow prevention devices are installed, get them tested annually.
Those are some great tips, and Cool Today is here to help you weather the storm. For over 60 years, we've been here to help Floridians with their cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs. We can help you prepare, protect, and repair your home. Call 888-40-TODAY.
I was driving when a Ford pickup truck barreled into me from behind, sending me to the hospital.
I knew my husband was going to need an excellent attorney, so I called Dan Newland.
I'm so glad my wife called Dan. Dan really fought for me. He won my case and got me $650,000.
If you've been involved in a car accident, allow me to fight for you. Call me now at 813-888-8000.
Thanks, Dan, for winning my husband's case.
This autumn, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Save up to 20% during California Closet's Autumn Upgrade event, making it easier than ever to transform your space with our select finishes. Whether it's a walk-in closet, home office, pantry, or garage, our designs are about more than organization. They're about creating space for what belongs. We call it practical magic, expert design that feels effortless. Visit one of our 3 Tampa Bay showrooms or schedule your complimentary consultation today at CaliforniaClosetsTampaBay.com.
Windows are created and installed with different levels of quality. You need quality that can withstand the tropical climate. Our installers only install PGT custom windows and doors, so we are the go-to experts. Don't take my word for it. We have been named Best of Tampa Bay 3 years in a row, Reader's Choice in Sarasota 3 years in a row, and nationally recognized as Window and Door Dealer of the Year. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Give WeatherTight Windows a call today, and don't forget the cookies.
All right, before we get to our local forecast, I want to show you this. Earlier today, I had a chance to speak with Dr. Rick Knabb up at the Weather Channel about the tropical storm Melissa and the uncertainty that's surrounding it and all the things that could happen. Its speed might mean for the people in its path that catastrophic flooding is heading their way.
The steering issues and uncertainties are directly related to the possible severity of rain-induced floods and landslides in a variety of places in the Caribbean. And because of the slow motion, this could be a catastrophic event somewhere. And it's really important that we don't focus too much on individual model runs and we look at the ensembles, the alternative track scenarios from a variety of models. And we've already shown you some models going toward Hispaniola, some going directly toward Jamaica, some going west. And this is just some of the recent Euro alternative possibilities, and through Friday morning, they're all hanging around this area. And a key point is the system doesn't have to make landfall or even be all that particularly strong in order to produce heavy rainfall onto Jamaica and Hispaniola. All you need is a southerly flow, and with the system going a little farther north by the end of the week, it could be very, very devastating, even if it doesn't get strong or make landfall. Now, the Euro shows generally the western portion of the Caribbean being where it hangs out, but then eventually would go northeastward. But if the GFS overall scenario is correct, and some of its counterpart models, that by the time we get to Thursday, that it is going northward into Hispaniola, kind of in association with that first trough, that's obviously a devastating event, especially if it hangs around for a few days in and around Hispaniola, maybe even over to Puerto Rico. So that is just another scenario we got to look out for. And to mention the hurricane hunters, they're going to be out there for the foreseeable future. So whatever changes we see in the intensity and the size will be well monitored by the Air Force. They're going to fly overnight tonight. They're going to fly tomorrow morning. But the uncertainty in where the system is going to be drives the uncertainty in how much rain and floods and landslides some folks might get.
And they are actually flying some flights out of Lakeland, our P3s that are there with the NOAA hurricane hunters. They're going to try and fly a flight out of there tomorrow afternoon. It's actually a flight that I was on. What was it, Aaron? What was the one that went off the Carolinas? But that one, we had engine trouble. And we had to turn around, got to the end of the runway right before we took off, and we couldn't get it fixed. We tried to do it. What they're doing, which is really interesting, we have satellites that travel over the globe, and they look down through the clouds, can see the rain and everything. All right? They have a pretty good idea from those satellites of what the radar would look like. All right? But they're trying to adjust that data using AI and other tools to make it look like it would for the actual radar. So what they're trying to do from the Lakeland folks, the P3, they want to get out there, get out underneath that satellite at that time in that storm, and then they also at that time have a tail radar on the plane so they can see what the actual radar looks like from the tail radar. They can also see at the same time what the satellite radar presentation looks like, and then in the lab, they can work on making that satellite look like what the actual radar is. And then that way you can use satellites to gain radar representations way out in the middle of the ocean and to give you a better idea of the structure of those storms. So a lot of cool science going on there. A lot of hot water there right now. That's the Caribbean. That is untapped. So the potential, if it didn't have a lot of shear, it would really go. It's got some shear, but the potential for this to get strong is there. We just think that the shear is going to hold it down just a little bit, and boy, oh boy, is that a good thing. That water temperature, well, it's warm. It's running plus 3 degrees in many locations, which is near record for a lot of those areas that you see there. And it's been untapped. We haven't had a system there. We haven't had much in the way of clouds, even storms there. But certainly no tropical systems rolling through there, which blowing the top of the water away and upwelling some slightly cooler water from underneath. We haven't had that. So that top water is warm, it's fuel for the fire, and when you get that water that warm, you have the possibility of making very strong tropical systems. So that shear in more ways than one is really helping us out. All right, let's take a look at the names here. We've got Melissa, obviously, is what we're talking about now. Nestor is the next name on the list, but this is great news. The tropical outlook was issued today. So the Hurricane Center does it for the next 7 days. NCEP does it for the next 2 weeks. So this is October 29th through November 4th. Nothing expected. All right. You would see the pink or red or dark red, right? And then we can go out to the third week. This is the November 5th through the 11th time frame. Nothing expected. Good news there. We will take that. We're not out of it. We're not out of it yet. I just don't want to jinx us. We're looking a lot better, I can tell you that, but I don't want to jinx us. So it's something we always keep our eye on, right? So here we are in the season. You can see the season is winding down quite a bit as we get towards, what's the 21st now of October. And my rule of thumb is especially just get past Halloween, but still the first couple weeks of November, and really through all of November, that water in the Caribbean is going to be warm. All right, the only thing we have going for us is I think we're going to get some really cool air as we get into the middle and end of next week, this upcoming week, and that is going to cool the water temperatures near us. So even if something does try and come out of the Caribbean up towards the Gulf, it'll run into cooler waters and weaken pretty quickly as it does so. All right, so let's talk local forecast here. Did you feel the humidity out there today? It's muggy. Dew points jumped up to the mid 73 degree dew point. That number's been in the low to mid 60s lately. That's why it felt a lot better outside, right? No, that jumped up. That's why it feels humid. We're in the upper 70s now. And with that humid air, it's going to be slow to cool. So for the rest of the evening, we're slowly down through the 70s. It's still almost 80 degrees. I mean, 79, St. Pete, Tampa, Port Manatee County, Lakewood Ranch, 78 in Sarasota. It's still mild out there. That is not rain. I know it looks like it. That is not rain, but we did actually have a couple of sprinkles earlier today. You can see some of those now down towards the Fort Myers area. All right, let's talk dry air. We have a front coming through tomorrow. It's a weak one. It doesn't really give us much in the way of rain, but it does bring some cool and dry air. We'll talk about that coming up right after this break.
I was involved in a very bad car accident. Called attorney Dan Newland, and it was like 1, 2, 3. Dan really got it done for me. At the end of my case, he got me $525,000.
As one of the largest personal injury law firms in the United States, my team and I remain committed more than ever to win big on your case. Involved in a car accident? Let's get started. Call me at 813-888-8000.
Thank you, Dan, for winning my case.
This autumn, give your home the upgrade it deserves. Save up to 20% during California Closet's Autumn Upgrade event, making it easier than ever to transform your space with our select finishes. Whether it's a walk-in closet, home office, pantry, or garage, our designs are about more than organization. They're about creating space for what belongs. We call it practical magic, expert design that feels effortless. Visit one of our 3 Tampa Bay showrooms or schedule your complimentary consultation today at CaliforniaClosetsTampaBay.com.
Windows are created and installed with different levels of quality. You need quality that can withstand the tropical climate. Our installers only install PGT custom windows and doors, so we are the go-to experts. Don't take my word for it. We have been named Best of Tampa Bay 3 years in a row, Reader's Choice in Sarasota 3 years in a row, and nationally recognized as Window and Door Dealer of the Year. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Give WeatherTight Windows a call today, and don't forget the cookies.
With a fresh new look and over 60 years of keeping Floridians comfortable, Cool Today is the name to trust for fast same-day service. Cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Our friendly expert technicians take the hassle out of home repair today. And Cool Today is here for you tomorrow, too. That's why we're introducing a parts and labor warranty on select AC systems for a lifetime. For cooling, plumbing, or electrical service, get the best from today and for years to come. Cool Today.
All right, take a look at this map again. This is the amount of moisture in the atmosphere from the ground all the way up. So it's not exactly humidity, it's not exactly rain or clouds, but it's a mixture of kind of all that. So we have a lot of humidity here down at the surface right now, but that's going to go away tomorrow night into Thursday. And when you get the really dry air, the sun's still strong, right? And you can get warm in the afternoons, but you can get cool in the evenings and the mornings. And I think that's what we're looking at. In fact, if you look at this dew point drop and look at these humidity levels, that trend drops Thursday, Friday, way down into the comfortable range. And if we get well into the 50s like that with dew points, that's lower than what we've seen so far this season in the Tampa area, right? But it doesn't last long. Saturday, Sunday, see the humidity start to come back up a little bit there. So yeah, and I even think that by Sunday, we're going to be watching for a chance for showers. Now, the model is going to change a little bit. There's a front here, okay, and you can see the rain out ahead of the front. Remember last Sunday, right? But this is this Sunday, and this is an east wind coming in with some moisture coming in off of the Atlantic with about a 30% chance for showers. Now, we have issued a weather impact alert for this. This is not a big deal at all. That alert is to give you a heads up that, hey, probably going to run into a couple of showers on Sunday afternoon. So just to give you a heads up, it's not a watch, it's not a warning, it's none of that stuff. We're not issuing any of those. It's our way here of saying, you know, most of the time, especially this time of the year, the weather's great. We don't need to think about it. Probably need to think a little bit about the chance for some rain on Sunday afternoon. Plus, we're going to have to watch this and see what the timing looks like, because that is coming through. That is the front that'll get through here Monday night-ish. Right? And so we will have some rain coming through on Monday as well. No weather impact alert for that, although we might have to issue one for the drive home on Monday, but that's still a little ways off. But behind that is the real cool air, because you see all this? That's not rain. That is low clouds that are forming because there's cool, dry air, especially cool, coming across relatively warm Gulf waters. And that causes condensation to occur just above the surface. These are very low clouds. And when I see this time of the year, this is, by the way, the 29th, right before Halloween, that's a sign that we have cool air coming in, okay? And watch what happens as we move through the 30th into Halloween. Beautiful. Clear everything out. north to northwest winds. Everything we've had with the dry air so far has been out of the northeast. That's cool, dry air that came over here, went over the Atlantic, and then came back at us. This is actually coming down from the north and the northwest. That's legit cool and dry air. That's even cooler. It's not modified by the Atlantic Ocean before it comes over at us. Okay, so that's a huge difference, and that will be the coolest air that we've seen so far this year. Okay, now there's the rain chance on Sunday. It's not, again, not a lot, right? But it may actually end up being a little bit more than that. But take a look at the temperatures. These are the forecast highs. Well, by the GFS model again, we'll see. But with that front potentially coming through, yeah, Halloween in the 70s. That's going to feel so comfortable across the area. And then low temps will get a good little dousing of cool air as we get into Friday morning especially. But then remember, these numbers are for Tampa. Friday morning, 62 in Tampa. That means most areas north and east and away from the water are in the 50s this Friday morning. All right, Saturday's a little bit warmer than that. Sunday, obviously, we're warming up with the showers coming through and the east wind that's warm and kind of muggy. But the air